Mm.
Ish.
No. Is this will be episode 8?
7.
Episode 7.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Setting Up Shop. It's Dan, the wonderful woodturner from Great Britain, here hosting the podcast, as always, with my two friends, Heidi, a potter from America.
Hi.
And Rasmus, some bloke we picked up on the way here from Norway.
What? What's going on?
Indeed. You can just leave the bag on. Everyone, so today, this is going to be a very interesting episode because we decided we didn't like the topic that we originally were going to talk about. So we've been discussing other things we may or may not want to talk about. And so we've come up with talking about how you actually prioritize the various different ideas / dreams / inspirations that you may or may not have. Like which ones do you decide? How do you decide to do one first or not? And the three of us have realized that we're all really bad at this. So this is going to be possibly a slightly more rambly episode. So if you don't like those, here is your warning. If you do like those, buckle up. And we're going to hopefully at some point, at least one of us will maybe have a revelation about how better to do this in the middle. But we're going to attempt to talk about this and we're going to attempt to cover it. It is quite late on a Friday. All three of us are quite tired. Heidi is desperate to go and ride a new bike that she's got. So there will be various different levels of engagement on this episode. That's not to say we don't care. It's just to say it's going to be slightly more diverted than normal. It's going to almost be like a Fools with Tools episode, I think. But we'll wait and see. Maybe it won't. If Steve ever listens, he can tell us that he's heard this reference to his long since quietened podcast. We'll wait and see. So then what do we mean by all of this? What we're talking about is as creative people, and particularly when you're in the right mindset, maybe when you're having a conversation with other people, you can have ideas, and the ideas can be for products, the ideas can be for whole other businesses, all of these different things. And sometimes you'll get several in a very short space of time that all seem viable and related to what you're currently doing. Particularly if you're trying to run a small business, it might be a whole new way you're going to do your packaging. It might be a new product. It might be you suddenly discovered that there's a whole niche market that you could exploit near, say, Valentine's Day or something like that. All of these different things. But the big question should be then, how good are you at pumping the brakes and assessing and saying, right, this is a good idea, but should I be working on it now? Or should I be scheduling this time for some time in the future when it's more relevant? Is this a procrastination or a distraction away from a project I'm working on now, which has a defined deadline, and I'm just kind of trying to use this as an excuse to step away from it? So the assumption already is that all of these things we're going to talk about are things that you are planning on following through with because they will have a benefit to your small craft business. Okay, I think if we make that caveat, it's a bit more relevant. It's not about suddenly giving everything up and going and learning something completely different. So that is the caveat. That is the very loose kind of thing there. And because it was his idea, we're going to start with Rasmus first. So he's had time to think about it now. And I'm not even going to ask him a question. We're just going to wind up the little toy and let it go. So over to you, Rasmus.
You can take the bag off now.
And you're calling me a toy?
We've just spun you in a circle 3 times and taken the bag off your head, and we'll be fine. Here's some symbols. Off you go.
Right. First off, help. Please help. Send help. No. I think it's kind of important, like when you have the time to actually experiment with things, to figure out, to do some thinking about what kind of direction you want to play and take a few things into considerations. Like, if you are the week before Valentine's, it's probably too late to develop a whole new product. But at the same time, that might be the perfect time to try out a whole range of different prototypes for that market, because people are looking for that kind of thing. So it's a kind of a dichotomy in that. At the same time, I like to think sort of how immediate is the need of taking action on this. Like, is this something that needs to happen right now, or is it something that will still be around as an opportunity in a year's time or 2 years' time? What's the cost to get started, both monetarily, in equipment, in time, to develop whatever you're working on? And also, what's the risk of failure? Like, if you have this amazing idea for an app that you want to develop because you think this is exactly what I need and I think other people need it, well, either you need to learn how to code, spend hours coding, or hire someone who can do that for you. So the barrier to entry there is pretty high. But at the same time, if it is as good of an idea as you dream of, then you'll probably also get the monies first from it as well.
Yeah, I think those are all very valid points, and you've covered one high point there, which is the barrier to entry, the barrier that what's stopping you from achieving that dream now. But I think it's also worth talking about, and we've referred to various parts of this in older episodes, but things like the market research element in the first place. So we'll follow on with the example of Valentine's Day. I know I brought it up. It's mostly because we're now in the month after, we're in March, and a product that does well at Valentine's Day that Rasmus does every year is his metal roses. Yeah. Partly because they're everlasting, and partly because they're a sharpened spike on the bottom if things go wrong. So either way, they're a good Valentine's present. It's covered from every basis.
You have no idea how many customers actually make that joke at markets.
Exactly. There you go. See, we're still waiting for him to do a full welded bouquet and advertise it to Valhallan brides, but we're pretty confident it would go well. It's on the list. So if we're talking about like Valentine's Day as an example, obviously there can be product led, but if you've had this concept idea for something that you think will work, whether it's a service, whether it's a physical product, whatever it is, obviously it's worth doing the market research in the first place. Has anyone else already done this? Mm-hmm. And more importantly, have they already done it in your area? So, if someone's attempted to do a very similar thing in your area and then it's failed, you can ask the question, okay, so why did theirs fail? Was it because the demographic they aimed at was wrong? Maybe they got the timing wrong. Maybe the quality of what they made was wrong. Or is it because culturally in my area, this is just not going to work? So you can explore those different barriers before you do anything. I quite like the fact you brought up the idea of the app, actually, Rasmus, because I was traveling with some people the other week and we were talking about buying secondhand tools and machinery from people who have unfortunately, left to relatives of people who have unfortunately passed away. And my fictional business name of Dead Man's Tools, which, as much as it is highly appropriate, shall never be used as a professional business name for selling secondhand tools because it's quite insensitive.
But very funny.
It reaches a certain humor demographic, absolutely. And if anyone wants to volunteer to create me logos for said fictional business, then we may or may not share them on the Instagram page. I think that would be quite entertaining. Our favorite German Dan is the sort of person I'm imagining will be straight onto this and would do something for that. So we'll see. Anyway. A little bit of a sidebar there. So we were talking about that, and the partner of the person I was speaking to said, why doesn't someone design an app or a website for this, where specifically it is passed on people's woodworking or wood turning or whatever it is tools, but it's specifically niche to that? with the idea of trying to rehome them to people who would appreciate them rather than them going to car boot sales, or, like, it's not necessarily about giving maximum value for them, although that would be part of it. But it could be a centralized web-based service that could be provided for those things. And that's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other business. That's a whole sort of, even if you knew someone who was a relative who would code it for free and set it all up, it's like there's just so many layers to it, that it feels very unobtainable. But if you've got the tools and the skill set, that's the kind of thing we go, well, actually, that would just take me a weekend. And then I just need a friend or someone I can pay who's a graphic designer to come up with some logos and stuff for it. I need some marketing people to specialize in this, and then 1 or 2 people who are going to be the admins for it. So it feels much more achievable. Whereas to me, that's got a much higher barrier to entry. Whereas something like Rasmus does, where, he makes a metal rose and they sell very well at a certain time of year. I could make wooden hearts.
Yeah.
I could get them with messages CNC'd on them, all this kind of stuff. I can make wooden hearts that are like in 2 pieces and they lock together. All of that kind of stuff. It's not something I plan on doing, but if someone asked me for it, we had customers in the shop the other day. Would anyone? Do you have a piece of purple heart or red wood in these sizes? Because I want to make a massive heart-shaped cutting board. Which I found highly ironic, that they want to take a knife and repeatedly slam it down onto this heart-shaped piece of wood in heart colors. But I chose not to express that opinion to the customer. So, there's a lot of symbology out there for products around that time of year that within our spheres. I mean, Heidi, you must have had it. I mean, have you ever made like a Valentine's mug or a Valentine's?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I made little teacups for Galentine's. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Galentine's, yeah.
That I gave out to my girlfriends. So they were the shape of the opening for the cup is a heart, and then it's got the tiny little handle with a little tiny thumb rest that's a heart on it too.
Yeah.
And they were for my friends, so I don't think I sold any of those. I might have. At one point, one of my customers thought it was cool and wanted black ones.
Sure.
Was that Brett by any chance?
No. But I've done like other little tchotchke things like heart magnets and that kind of thing. But
yeah.
I don't, as we talked before, I don't tend to do those seasonal things anymore because I don't have booths. But
yeah. That was with a THS on the end for some of you listeners before you write in. So that's the kind of booths.
From Pittsburgh, we just don't enunciate.
We've each got our own language situations. It's definitely a thing, isn't it, where you can come up with a concept. So prioritizing it, as we've already deviated from. Prioritizing these kind of ideas. So if we're going to take the example of Valentine's Day, like if you are talking about developing an app and you think about it on the 15th of February, that's probably a good time to start your process of working on an app if you want it ready for the following Valentine's Day. Because with my limited knowledge, I would imagine 12 months is possibly pushing it a little bit to get, depending on how much detail and what information you want to be in the app, it can take quite a while to like get it all processed and done and test run and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Whereas if you're any one of the 3 of us who are making a physical thing, as most of our listeners are, that all depends on, is it something you're using as the, are you using a particular type of material that's only available at certain times of a year, or are you sort of trying to tie it into something specific? You could make that product throughout the year. As long as you're going to market it far enough in advance. And that's the key thing. So Rasmus has got a couple of really good little videos about the making of his rose, and they always seem to mysteriously creep up within a few weeks of Valentine's Day.
And Christmas.
It's a mystery.
And Christmas. It's a mystery how, fire and, hey, guys, have you forgotten? Here's something that's kind of cool you might want to remember. And, hey, gals, have you forgotten? Here's something that's kind of cool you might want to remember. all of these things, like it's the marketing of it as well. If we're going down the idea of it's a product or a service that you want for a specific event. So the prioritization of that, this is what we're talking about, will shift whether or not it's I need X amount of time to develop, or I can make that very quickly. Maybe I do a couple of iterations over the first couple of months of the idea, make some notes in my journal, notebook, web app, whatever it is, but then make sure you put some calendar alerts in, like a month or 6 weeks in advance of what you're going to be doing, so that you can kind of flag it up and have time to make stock, make some social media or video footage, whatever it is you're doing to advertise it, and
make sure you have materials in stock to actually make the things.
Make sure you have materials in stock. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how many times I still have to go out and buy wood, considering how full my wood store is. But
yeah,
that'll be
because you're always missing what you need.
Yeah, it's almost like we hoard the things that are only special and have potential.
Well, how are you guys? You get these ideas, there's like, okay, well, this one could be like 6 months out or whatever. How are you recording it? Rasmus, I know you love Notion as a place for you to organize your shop and organize your ideas and all of that stuff. But Dan, I assume you have a notebook. Maybe.
Actually, no, you'll both be shocked to hear. I use the Notes app on my phone.
Okay.
And I put it in as a calendar in my Google Calendar. I'll do something cryptic in my Google Calendar, and it will say like, make product now for X, whatever X may be. See notes.
Okay.
Where it links back, and then I'll write where I've got a lot more space to write things, and I don't want to fill up the entire day on the Google Calendar that's small on the screen. So I'll then go into a note. But the problem with the Notes app that I haven't sorted yet is that it's not organized as such, as in the note that will pop to the top is the most recently edited one. So sometimes I'll be scrolling back through and going, well, which bloody product was I talking about, and whatever. But that's my disorganization. But I do have calendar flag ups to say, hey, now is the time you should be looking at this. But there are further details somewhere else in this same device that you are holding, so that I don't lose the opportunity by going, oh, well, that's in my notebook, that's in the workshop, that's wherever. It's all close to itself. So I minimize my excuses for not doing it. And then if I'm really organized, I'll put reminders in 2 other times that week.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you do that for like ideation too, like pipe dream things, or just like things that immediately you have to do? Like, is your app more your things that you have to do, or things that you?
It's things I have to do, but it's also things that I think I would really like to do this if I have the time when this arises. So it will go in the calendar, and then if that calendar fills up around it with other things that are guaranteed to either pay me money, or they're a life event or something like that, then I'll make my decision when that pops up. Whereas a lot of other stuff that are just like cool ideas will go in the workshop notebook of like, hey, when you've got time, look at these, because they're not linked to a specific thing. I keep writing in there, so every now and then I'll transition to like a different notebook, or I'll rewrite the list so it's in there several times and easier to find. And one of the ideas I've kept writing in is like a first wedding anniversary, how there's always these symbols of what you would do what. Well, the first wedding anniversary, the gift is supposed to be made out of wood. And I haven't yet figured out what the thing could be that either whichever gender or not specified gender the 2 partners are, where both of them would want to buy this thing for their partner.
Yep.
Like how do I come up with a product that taps into that, which is a very small niche specific thing, but if you can get it right, you could get it added onto quite popular websites for finding unique gifts. And it's trying to work out, right, how do I make something of good quality that's cost effective, that tugs on those kind of things for both people. But I've not put the time in to do the product research, because I'm not that desperate to do it. It is an idea, it's sat there, that one day hopefully I will speak to the right people and develop it, or maybe it will just stay sat there the whole time. So that one I know is a low priority, but I still want to sort of come up with something before the end of it. So I've kind of almost got two lists. I've got like the workshop reminder list of stuff that would be cool to do at some point. And then I've got the ones where I'm like, no, I really want to do this thing. I've already got the idea of what it is. And I'm going to move it forward with that. I mean, if we stick around the whole relationship / wedding thing, like wedding fairs, when is the wedding fair season? Because every country has a wedding fair season, and they're quite well attended. And Rasmus, we've mentioned this to you before. Why don't you take the roses and a bouquet and things like that, very specific stuff that might suit a wedding as opposed to just individuals? And I've had ideas of like, I could make really nice wooden ring boxes, like super high-end wooden ring boxes. So they're quite small, so I don't take a lot of space up packing and taking with me. So there's things like that, but there's like a whole product range that you could potentially take, the wedding cake stand. Oh, well, I can do that as a tiered thing. That's like then it's an heirloom. So you had it at your wedding, you use it in your life. Maybe you pass it on to your daughter for her wedding kind of idea. There's a whole idea of a range of stuff I could do for that. But until I'm full time in this kind of business, I won't, it's not something I'm going to prioritize because it is niche. Like it's a very lucrative niche if you can get into it, but it's not something I'm going to chase right now.
Because the time commitment to do it properly.
The time commitment to do it properly, not just for the product, but for the attending the wedding fairs, like going to the good ones, not just your local one that happens to be in a hotel somewhere. You need to go to the ones, it would be ones in London for me, like, the major cities kind of idea. So again, that's the barrier to entry. There's a time barrier, there's a location barrier. It's not product. The product ideas are there. They're floating around. It's just like, okay, well, that's things I can make a variation of this, and I could use a really nice wood of this. So yeah, it's definitely, that's the way I would store the stuff, and then making loose kind of ideas and judgments. I'm assuming yours, Heidi, well, I would make an assumption that yours would be spreadsheet based.
I mean, when it comes to like orders and things, I'm pretty organized with spreadsheets and that kind of thing. But when it comes to like organic ideas or things that like get my blood pumping because I'm like, oh my God, has anybody ever done this thing? And I fall into a rabbit hole. I know, like, I used to do a lot of songwriting, and I used to keep a notebook by my bed because you start to fall asleep, and then you get these ideas and you want to remember them tomorrow, or you have this dream and you want to remember like those feelings that were evoked from the dream. I, similarly to you, Dan, I will sometimes record things, but I'll do voice recording in my phone, just like a super quick note. Hey, Google, take down this note or whatever. And it's probably going to talk to me. But there's like, I rely on technology a lot more than what historic Heidi used to. Like I used to have a notebook by my bed with pen and pencil, which always helped me out to like, okay, I have this idea, but I can't really commit to the brain time that it needs to like, blossom into something that I can actually do. But if I write it down, that I give myself permission once I write it down to like let it go and let future Heidi deal with it. Because
notebooks and note apps are basically extended storage for the brain.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I tend to have a bit of a manic personality where I'm like, I'm all over the place. My brain is constantly, worried about, maybe it's just being a woman, but like, I'm constantly thinking about like all of the things that make my house operate and all the things that I need to do, but then all the things that I need to do for my business and who I need to be for my husband and who I need to be for my son. And, it's like, it's constant noise in my brain. And sometimes there's not an opportunity for me to be a dreamer or be aspirational with my business or whatever, because I only have enough time to devote to doing the things that need to be done. And that sometimes is frustrating for me because I think when early on as a potter, I just wanted to try everything, right? Like, oh, there's this technique and it's really cool, and I'll do one project for it, and that's it. This is the last time I do it. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna do it once. That's it. A puzzle jar, like the drinking jars that they make in England. I learned about when I was there, and I was like, I'm gonna try that. I'm a skilled enough potter. I can do that now. So I did that, and then I was like, okay. And those are all like adventures in craft to me.
Yeah.
They're like adventures that I get to go on. And there's no other than pushing myself to do something maybe I haven't done before, that I could apply, techniques or observations to something business-y. Those are the things that I've really gotten away from. And sometimes I feel a bit frustrated creatively, because I either don't allot myself enough time to be that aspirational, or I don't force myself to throw or build something that encourages that. And I know, like, Rasmus, when we talk to you, you're always looking for ways to either scale up the business or, fill in a gap where things need to be done to keep your shop moving or whatever. I feel like a lot of your ideation is very driven towards that, like, fear of not being able to pay your bills, right?
Yes.
So, like, with that being said, are there things that are less about the business, like some of your ideas? I'm trying to get to, like, some of your ideas that are not completely about, like, how do I grow my business per se, but like things that you're like, I've never done this technique, I'm really, really interested in it, and it would be something that would, like, just like level up your skill or whatever. Is there something that has been kind of like meandering in your brain for a while that you just haven't been able to do?
Yeah, a while back I saw a video of Seth Gould making basically like money boxes, like medieval strong boxes
Oh, okay.
with
Interesting.
intricate locking mechanisms and
Oh, shit.
combinations of things. And I go like, oh my God, I want to learn how to do that, like make proper intricate locks. It's probably, for me, probably not ever going to be money in it. But it would also be so fucking cool to show up to a market with this big box of steel with all the intricacies on the outside, and then have like just my normal, like back in the day, I would have like cash in it, right?
Yeah.
But now just show up and have like my tablet and a card reader in it and a notebook, and go like, this is like the essentials I need to bring to operate at the market. Like, that box that's now currently plastic, and just have that be like this massive strong box, traditional strong box.
I can see you, like, you unlock it, and then when you open the lid to reveal what's inside, somehow you can then use that same key to lock it to the top of your bench, so that it's secure to the bench. So it's like it's safe from both perspectives, other than the fact that it's going to be heavy and people aren't going to be able to steal it. But yeah,
most of the things I make is in the category of, if you can pick it up and run away with it, you kind of deserve it. Not everything, but like when it comes to like anvil shaped objects, that's definitely a category. So that's like something that's been in the back of my mind for at least 8 years now, I think. Like, I would love to make something like that and like fully understand how to do intricate locks, not like the simple stuff with just like a guard and a spring in it, but actually when it's kind of a combinational thing, and like it tickles my brain, and sort of like, I have no idea how it works, so I want to understand it. I want to make it so I know how it's done.
I've just remembered as a certain conversation you and I had about a collaboration about a traveling chest.
Yeah.
Which at the time of the initial conversation was out of the realms of my capability due to machinery, space, and ability, but also we didn't have a way of getting it to you that was cheap.
The steamer trunk.
Steamer trunk.
Yes, as a toolbox. That's another one.
Yes. bearing in mind that you now ship pallet loads of stuff to your house from my
fuck, we
country.
don't have an excuse anymore, do we?
And
Eureka!
this is kind of what I'm getting towards. So if you need a reason to look up how to make locks, then this steamer trunk project may well, like, we've removed a number of barriers just by waiting and both of us growing in skill level. Like,
True that.
This is why leveling up is important, so that you can then go back to previous streams and go, is this one achievable now?
Yeah.
Actually, not only is it achievable now, but we can make it look really badass because we've learned some other skills along the way that would look really cool on this.
Yeah, and better tools to do all the work with. Everything. There is fucking no excuses left anymore.
That was kind of the point of my question for Rasmus, was like, okay, so you've got this like big idea, like how do you scale it so that it can be, works with the little tingle that you have in your brain, but also can fit into what your tools, time, money, availability is. So you're not just throwing away the aspirational idea, but also, and Dan, look, you just gave him an opportunity to say, like, okay, let's get, like, it's segued well. So like you scaled it down to this thing that is an attainable project now, from being like this huge pipe dream idea. Now you can like kind of play around with it, and maybe from that smaller scaled idea you can, not that that's very much smaller, but it's maybe lighter, you can then scale it back up as you want to build onto it. But like those are the ways that I had been in the last year, kind of dealing with the fact that like I struggle with time to do, or allowing myself time to kind of play. So I kind of put into those big dreams. I see where I can fit them into maybe orders from clients, especially the ones that come in and they're like, I don't know what I want, but I want it to do this thing, and I have a couple ideas. And then it's like, oh, well, I've been kind of toying with this. Would you be interested in this thing that I really want to do? So it's like, how can you take some of those things that you kind of put in your notebook or in your phone, or you've done your voice notes about, and maybe they're not exactly what you the adventure that you wanted to take, but they're like,
it's close to kind of recent. Taking some kind of lock as an example, I think it's very beneficial to start looking, do the basic research, like how are they basically constructed, what's like overview of the parts of it, what goes into the production, and then start breaking down, okay, what are the skills, what's the processes I need to learn and figure out, and do test pieces of that. I think that would be probably a good way of going about it. Talking to other people who might have more experience in that area, get some of the pitfalls out of the way, and also try to sort of, like you say, like as soon as you have an idea, do enough research initially to figure out how complicated is it to actually get into this thing. And then you can start to maybe take like, cool, I need to learn how to forge springs and temper and harden springs for a lock. Can I just take that concept, extract it, and use it for something else more useful right now? Or in your case, like, this is a technique I need to learn. Is there a client that maybe wants something and gives me room to experiment and use this bit? Like, even if it's just a new glaze or a new bit of texturing or something, like, can I just sort of, because it's a lot easier, at least for me as well, to sort of prioritize this completely new thing if someone is already there standing with money in hand saying like, hey, can you help me here?
Yeah.
And I go like, yes, I have no idea about how long it will take me because this is new, but I would love to give it a shot.
So if I were to say to you that I'm going to need a padlock for my new workshop when I move into it, and it would be a lot cooler if it was made by a friend of mine,
Maybe you start
Yeah.
with a handle.
Yeah, and it needs to be not easily lockpicked.
Yeah. I mean, I can
Um,
also make one that's really not so easy to lock.
Yeah, I'm sure you could.
I love
I mean,
it.
yeah, that would be a lovely excuse to sort of get more into it, because, I mean, to some extent, and I have looked a little bit into this, like a lock is a lock is a lock. It's kind of like you need to work with the tolerances. You need to work with understanding what needs lubrication, what needs to have contact wear, and the tension of springs. But then you need to understand, how do you adjust all of that as you're making it to keep it working, as you're adding complexity. Like, I'm thinking of something where you need to take the key, you need to twist it X number of times clockwise, and then push it in, push another button that unlocks, slide a thing, take the key and put it halfway out or something and twist it the other way around. Like, you're talking about these kind of complications.
Oh, and you have to do it blind because it's like inside a compartment.
Kind of, yeah. So that's the kind of stuff I want to learn and understand, because it's complete mystery to me. Then, like, I have no idea how to do all of that, but I know what the first step is, and that is just to figure out what's the tools and processes to make a key and a spring for a lock that holds a bar, and just make that slide and work. Right?
So I find it fascinating that your first thought is, how do I do this myself with zero knowledge and the internet? Whereas my first thought is, where do I find the person to teach me how to doing this thing?
Oh, no, I'll
My
definitely
first
go
thought
and...
is make a handle.
No, I'll definitely try to find a guy who knows more about this than I do, because I know some of those people. So at least
Yeah.
I can talk to them about, like, okay, you have made X number and restored X number of historical, like, historic locks in Norway. Cool. Can you show me how that's done? Can we talk through the process of it? Like, what kind of commitment can you give me just for the bare minimum of get me started here? And then take that experience. And, like, there are plenty of people online that is doing things like this. I kind of just need to reach out and say, like, hey, I would love to give that kind of thing a try. Can I pick your brain for a minute?
So what we're hearing is you've clearly thought a lot about, quite rationally, about this particular thing that you are very clearly interested in doing at some point in your career.
Yeah.
But your priority level for it is it's currently low, in the
Yes.
sense of you don't have a financial reward for it.
Yes.
In order to justify the time spent on getting this looked at, researched, and whatever else. And would you say that's the only reason why, is because you haven't got a client who's saying, hey, I've got a historical lock and I would like you specifically to make it for me, but I don't mind if you take 6 months, kind of thing. And then you can go, right,
Yeah.
that's cool. Here is the rough figure of what it's going to cost. And they say, that's fine.
Yeah. When it comes to doing something that's completely new, I need to go into it knowing I will lose money if it's client work, because I would spend so much time figuring out how to do it and making the tooling for it, that the first time around I will lose money.
Mhm.
And
okay, so you almost need the follow-on to know that the first time you'll lose money, but there will be other times.
yes,
Yeah.
kinda. And for something like this, where I haven't really had a client that's come to me specifically and said, I want you to do this. I had a couple of people who have asked if I can, and I say, yes, I can figure that out. But also, I am X number of months busy. Here's a couple of other people I know who have already done this work that might have time earlier. And more often than not, they have ended up going to someone else, or I just haven't heard back. So,
Interesting.
but this is specifically around locks, and there has been a lot of clients coming to me with that. But that's also like,
No, but if you've had more than 2,
yeah, maybe 5 in 12 years.
I mean, I appreciate spread across 5 years. That's not many, but like, if that's 5 people across 5 years who didn't know that you could do it,
Yeah,
like they've consciously made that decision, then imagine how many more people would be coming to you if they did know you could do it.
yeah,
But
and
yeah.
And it's also, I guess, to some extent, if I would just were to do it well enough, and take the picture and get on the website, like, I will probably sell that lock to someone who is restoring something and needs something. But yeah, as with everything else, though, it's something it seemed so complicated to get into that obviously I've only done the overthinking part and none of the actual work.
You've not
Because
just
there's
gone
been
to a friend's place who makes them and say, show me how you do it with basic tools. Oh, so I just need this and this, and then I can do that.
Shut up. I have done more of like everything else that people show up with things I know how to do, iterations of projects I already have, that is easier money, lower risk, and lower there's less of a commitment to get going with.
Yeah.
And that means like, yeah, I'll take the easy path because that still makes me money, but it's not as fun, so to speak. Then all of this is on the other side of that spectrum.
So jewelry box locks about that big? So minimal materials, like really simple lock. There's not actually need that. It's lock's more there as a decorative lock, as opposed to this is going to stop an actual burglary kind of lock.
Yeah,
the kind of thing that could sell for sub £30 on your market stall. They're quite small. They'll look nice. Brass and steel riveted together. Simple mechanism you can match out. Probably batch produce on water jet cut.
That's a big one as well. Like actually, standardized using the laser cutter and things like that.
Yeah.
You are giving me plenty of ideas that is definitely worth looking into, and it would be a nice sort of stepping stone into bigger.
Sounds like you need to bump this particular one up your priority list a little bit. Just message the guy who knows how to make them and say, how quickly could you teach me how to make a jewelry box lock, and just see what he says.
Yeah, I know. And honestly, fiddling with locks like this probably sounds like an excellent way of spending part of my summer, because it's too hot to do proper forgings.
Well, we're at the beginnings of spring, so you need to message the guy now to make sure you've got the time to go and do the research and get the kit.
Can someone else be talking now? Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I really should. I will.
Well, I'll keep quiet because you need to now write a text message or an email to someone for a few seconds, and you can step away for a moment while you do that. I think it's
feeling bullied. That's what's happening.
Yeah, well, you are. We're giving you that nudge that you want us to give every time you come and have a conversation with us.
Yeah. I appreciate it, though.
Yeah, we know. I think it's fascinating how we can each have those kind of ideas and concepts. We've spoken about barriers before, and we recognize and acknowledge barriers. But sometimes you do need friends to come and push them over or smash them up.
Yeah.
And point out where you're creating a situation that's putting you off from doing something that you know you really enjoy doing, because as you've already described, there's this other mundane work that's kind of routine, but it earns me money and I know it earns me money. So there's that small fear element there as well. So priority wise, that's at the bottom, and it's probably been kept there due to an element of fear, in the sense of, but what if I devote too much time and it's not going to pay my bills, which is very reasonable and understandable. But hey, if it's too hot to forge in the summer, you need to give yourself something to do.
Yeah. I hear you loud and clear.
So it does fascinate me then, Heidi, what would you say is something that you've possibly had kicking around on your kind of like list that you know you're going to get around to one day?
I think there's the whole raku experience that I keep wanting to build a space for and do all these things, and things just keep getting in the way, right? Like priorities come up with the house and you've got to focus on that, and then can't build the space or whatever. And it's a completely doable project. It's just like completely within realm of my capabilities to build out this space for the raku. But it's just, it just gets pushed to the side because It's not a priority. It's a desire and not just something that would like be beneficial to the business. Raku ware is not typically functional. So it's definitely it's something that would be outside of what Whitehall Pottery normally provides. I do a lot more functional ware, as in like you can cook with it, you can eat off it, you can drink off of it. But the nature of raku is that it's just something pretty to look at, and you cannot put water in it because it will leak, because it is not fully vitrified. It is not a functional vase in that regard.
You could just coat it with epoxy though, right?
Yeah, you could. There's a chemical that you can put in it that can seal it up, but it's still very delicate. So there's that. It's something that the fine artist in me wants to pursue, because it's the part of my ceramics journey that my heart is most interested in. And it's part of the reason that I got into ceramics to begin with. This is like the amazing surprise that comes out of every single raku fire. You cannot repeat the same piece twice. Same goes for like pit firing and wood firing and all of that, and soda firing. But my business has gotten in the way of me being that adventurous, like I was very early on when I was learning about my craft, right? So it's figuring out how to prioritize that in a way that's like, okay, well, you know, what does this fulfill for me? If I were to have a functioning, just the question of, okay, well, it's a build, right? I want to build a space to put my raku in and have some space that I can fire these pieces. It's not my driveway, and that I can keep a propane tank handy and just have that space there. It's trying to figure out what are the benefits that come from putting that work and labor and money into building this space. Like, okay, if I can kind of draw that whole column thing of like, this benefits me spiritually, emotionally, financially, it benefits me creatively, or upgrades my skills, right? Like if I build a chart like that and I put check boxes, like it's one of those things that is going to check off a lot of those things, except the unknown is the financially, right? So if I put money into, similar to Rasmus, if I put money into this, I put energy into this, spiritually, creatively, I'm going to feel fulfilled, right? But there's that whole weighing game of me investing time into doing that is going to take me away from something else that's important. Whether that's running my business, whether that's going biking with my son, whether that's, cleaning my house, or all of those things, to figure out like where in the.
So do you think this is something that you're, whether it's conscious or subconsciously, you're putting to one side because you know that all being well in the future, for instance, it's going to come a time where Carver's going to leave home.
Yeah.
So there will be more time. So you won't feel as bad.
He won't. He'll stay here forever. Never. He'll stay 10 years old.
But there's a possibility. Yeah, there's a possibility.
No, you're right.
That he'll leave home, and then
in 8 years. Yeah.
You'll find this 18. Extra time where you're like, okay, so I haven't got to worry about this and that. It doesn't mean you won't spend time with Ben, but it's
who wants to do that?
It's that kind of thing where you go, right, okay, well, I can wait 8 years.
Yeah.
These 8 years are important for me to make cool memories with my son, while he still loves and respects me in a way that, he's before he's pubescent and he starts hating the whole world because he's spotty, and all of that kind of stuff. I think that's I think that probably is, I can understand that one. That one kind of is like, there's just not quite enough in the checks and balances for you to say, the justification for me doing this it feels almost selfish, because it's stealing time away. Like the financial element of it, it feels like an excuse in the sense of you could put money away from each sale into a separate account to reach a target to make the thing. Yeah. That's not really the issue. The issue is the time cost. Like you say, like, because it's taking time away from your family, it would be taking time away from making orders. But even that's not as much of a issue, because like you've already proved in recent years, if you need to scale back and say, hey, final call for orders for this season, done, like, and then give yourself 2 weeks.
And that's where I'm a little different from Rasmus, right? Because I have a full-time job, my husband's working, so we have, like, on the barriers situation like we've talked about before, I have the fluidity of being able to do that. Now, if I were to go to full time, or those are the other aspirational things, like going full time or opening up a shop of my own, or all of those things that you kind of like daydream about, like what would it be like if I did this elaborate thing, or what would it be like if I did an artist in residency program. I would have to leave my job. I would have to leave my house. I wouldn't be able to take care of my son, all of those things. And Dan, like, to your point, well, maybe that's a future goal after Carver's out of the house and, whatever. But it really all comes down to what is attainable in the moment, right? Like what will, I don't know, make me feel like less guilty about taking away from other things. And the less guilty means that there's like a superfluous amount of joy that comes out of doing that activity, right? So like that's kind of how I think about those bigger things that I want to do, or those like pivots that I want to take. And I think I've proven in the last few years that I'm capable, at least to myself, like maybe I haven't articulated it to the world, but I'm capable of setting those goals, those bigger goals. Like for the longest time, I said I wanted to make my own textured rolling pins. I wanted to learn how to use a laser to make my own textured rolling pins so that I could make a whole product lineup that's in my head, right?
And you've done it.
Well, I have done it. But to the point is, I didn't just go out there and say, fuck everything else, I'm just going to focus on that. I incrementally, because I knew I had this thing that was an aspiration of mine, I incrementally built a foundation for me to be able to, steadily reach those goals. Whether it was, Dan, to your point of like putting money away to pay for things that were important to make that process happen, or Rasmus, to your point of talking to people that do it or do something similar and, getting educated. So I would know, oh shit, I don't want to buy this piece of equipment. I can get away with buying this smaller piece of equipment, or the educational stuff, and not just trying to rush in to get it done. Made having the laser and doing all that stuff to where I have that product now. I think when did I launch that? Like November of last year, I think.
Yeah, something
maybe a little
maybe
earlier.
Maybe October, I think. But
October. So, what felt like this enormous, oh my gosh, like lasers are really expensive. All the stuff that stacks you down that you're like is never not attainable. I just kept saying, like, I'm just going to pick away little bit by little bit until, I can do this thing. And now I'm able to laser anything. Like I have this idea now, like these things build, right? Like you reach the big milestone goal and then you're like, okay, what's next? Well, what's next is building on that new foundation that you created. So like my new thing is, all right, well, I know how to laser rolling pins. what else can I laser, or what other textures can I do to bring things to fruition that kind of build onto, the tingly parts of my brain, but also, that are going to be viable for products or viable for techniques or different things. And I don't know, like I've had this thing that I've been playing with for a really long time. I put it out into the world like 7-8 years ago. I said I wanted to make vessels with cryptids on them, like kitchenware with cryptids, like a whole line of things. And I think now that I have, the rolling pins, that I can make textured things, and now that I've tested out the paper towel holders, and I've gotten much better at my lidded vessels, maybe I'm in a place where I can make a butter dish.
Ooh.
Just saying. Maybe I'm there, guys. Maybe this year is the year.
So it's really interesting because I genuinely thought that I wouldn't say the only one, but a very very overly cautious person, which is why when I present an idea or I'm going, okay, that's ready for this idea now, it will take me on average 2 years of pondering and asking questions and mentally researching. And I probably won't write anything down. I won't tinker with making anything. I will buy books and then try and absorb their information by osmosis rather than reading them. I will talk to many people about subjects who will recommend I read the books that are sat next to me when I'm having the conversation with them. I'll do all of these things around actually either learning how to do the thing or practicing doing the thing. But it does seem like that you guys are similar in some ways of like, oh, well, I'll tug at it every now and then. There'll be this little piece that I'll just pull off, or it's like, if you go the other way, you're making the jigsaw puzzle. You're finding the corner pieces. Oh, okay. So in your case, just then, Heidi, so I know I'm going to need a laser. Okay, so that's the corner pieces. I need the laser, but what you then build out from that are the pieces that say, okay, what type, what size, what's the budget? Okay, now I've not just got one corner piece. I've got like a quarter of the jigsaw puzzle is made, and then you take the other bit of information. And I don't think there's anything wrong with either the cautious approach or the crazy approach of going, oh, well, I'm just going to buy like 3 lasers and see which one's the right one, and then we're just going to chuck some stuff on them and see what works, and then when everything's stuck together or burnt, then we'll give away 2 of the lasers on a like YouTube giveaway because they always work really well and that's cost effective. But I've got my end result, and it's only taken me 3 months instead of 2 years, and it was crazy and it was messy and it was stressful, but it probably costs the same amount of money and it's done faster. So it's not that kind of reserved and creative and kind of this gentle arc of like, oh yeah, and we've got to the thing that we really wanted, and and you've done it slowly, catchy monkey, because as you said, you've got a full-time job, but it's still achieved the same way. Whereas other people, good friends of ours, would just go, screw it, let's do the thing. Let's just do it. Yeah. Let's just jump into the ball pool and forget about who's done what in there. Let's, really get to the end of the situation, and we're still going to reach a similar goal, but it's not necessarily going to be as refined, but it will scratch that itch quicker. Yeah. Well, I feel almost as though when I do have that like unabashed, just like run at it and get it done situation, I only do it once. Yeah. There's no longevity to it. Nope. It's just, okay, did that, let's do something else. But like with this whole process of learning how to do the rolling pins and everything, like I said before, it's an investment in a foundation that's more than just scratching an itch. Yeah. It's, like, I think they're like, I think it's also the realization, though, willy-nilly approach. But yeah, I think there's also realization, though, that certain technologies are rapidly improving. Oh, for sure. And cheaper. But that's what I mean. So, for instance, 3 years ago, when you were having this idea and you were looking at lasers, like 10 grand, one you could afford at the time would never have done what you want it to do. Mm-hmm. Whereas in those 3 years, you've now got to the point where you can get a benchtop laser that would go in your home with extraction and everything else, which is still not cheap, but it's going to achieve so much more than you could ever possibly have wanted it to do based on, compared to the one from 3 years prior.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes it's about planning ahead. Good analogy of this for Marvel fans is Iron Man's dad, when he builds the plan for making the whole new element or whatever it is, and he lays out the plan, and it's made out of, spoiler alert, it's made out of all of the plans for the park that he builds up for the annual fair thing, and then you strip out all the stuff, and it's literally he recognizes that he's not going to have access to generating enough energy in his lifetime to create this thing, so he leaves it to his son. And it's that level of forethought of, okay, so I can't do this right now because the parameters of what's available to me are either too costly or I don't have the skill set. So that doesn't mean give up. That means keep looking at it, keep checking in on it every now and then maybe that will bump up the priority list, because actually technology's been unlocked, which allows me to skip 3 of those steps and I can jump right in. Or, okay, some of these other jobs that I thought were completely unrelated have meant that I've had to develop my techniques sufficiently that I can now make this in such a way and fast enough. As a wood turner, I can turn the, there are people around me who are wood turners who make lampshades out of wood, right? I cannot consistently turn wood thin enough that light would refract through or around it and be light enough to actually be suspended from a light fitting. So there is, at this moment in time, that is not a job that I could say, yes, I can do that for you. But there are several people locally to me who will be making 10 or 20 of these a time for restaurants and stuff. I'd love to be able to do that at some point, but I'm not actively pursuing that, because at the back of my mind, I'm aware, well, when I turned regularly enough, I will naturally start being able to be consistent at turning thinner and have that delicate touch that's developed, because all the guys who are currently doing it have all been turning over 30 years.
Right.
I've been doing it 10 and not as often as they have. So that's a technique thing. That's it's not a lack of desire of doing it. That's okay, well, at some point I might give that a go, but I know that my technique's not there yet. So I think there's legitimacy, and they're not mental barriers that are negative. They are legitimate barriers based on time resources or skill level or financial resources. And I think that's definitely a thing that you can prioritize. So you could split your columns of dreams out, if you like, to achievable now if I wasn't scared, achievable when I've got the right skill, and achievable when I've got the right budget, whether that's time or money. You can do that in 1 or 2 columns. And that is something we probably all mentally do. We don't even necessarily think about writing it down. But I think it's really important to record all of the dreams somewhere and try and be consistent with where that place is, whether it's written, whether it's spoken, or into video notes or whatever. Because there are things where you will just forget about them.
Oh,
and
sure.
you'll cycle back through and you go, oh yeah, I have this idea for this thing. There's a one-off project that I want to do that I've been thinking about doing for ages that I know will be a one-off project. But I also know that when I do it, I want it to be, which is highly unlikely, but I want it to be perfect first time, because I want to have put the amount of time and research in to get the thing the way I want it to be the first time, because I know that when I've made the first attempt, I won't bother again. So I want it to be right as close as I possibly can that first time, which will be nigh on impossible, which is part of the reason why I'm not there yet. But that is being held back by my lack of knowledge around certain technologies. So I think it's identifying why the dreams are higher or lower in priority, and being realistic with them and not beating yourself up about it, or going, oh, I've got these ideas, but I never have time to do any of them. That's not necessarily true. You don't, you haven't prioritized what is it you need to do to get there.
Yeah, it's easier to be negative than it is to...
Yeah. Which is why Rasmus must have messaged his friend by now to book in some time with him about padlocks. He's had all of this time not talking. If he's still not done it, this is going to be very awkward. We might have to have in fact, tell you what, after show, right? So if you're in the Patreon, guys, He's going to ring his friend in the after show and have the conversation. And we're going to get him to book a date when he can go around and have that conversation. It will be in Norwegian, so most people won't understand that, unless your friend's good enough at English and we can have that conversation. But if you want to listen in to hear this conversation, which is definitely going to happen, then you need to subscribe to our Patreon. So you go on Patreon, Patreon, and find us, Setting Up Shop. Remember, shop is spelled SHOPPE, and we will attempt to do this in the after show. There are different levels in various price points. They all unlock the same thing, but it depends on how generous you're feeling and how much love you want to have from us if we ever physically meet. So
What?
What are you promising now?
I haven't promised anything.
How much love? Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, it's open to interpretation from different languages. We're also very intrigued. We were looking over the analytics before the beginning of this episode, and I've asked several times, if you are the person who either is living and listening to us from Japan, or you are using a VPN to say that you are in Japan, please reach out and let us know, because we're just curious. We'd love to have some contact with you either way. And then we've got someone doubling down on us now, because there's now one in Singapore as well. Same question. If you are a maker living in Singapore listening to us, we would love to hear from you. Or if you're just using a VPN to say you're from Singapore, same. We'd still love to hear from you. In fact, we'd love to hear from everybody. We have realized that we want more from you guys. I'm sorry. I know you're already giving us your time. You're listening to us, and some of us are giving your money as well. We would love to have some questions for you so we can do a Q&A. Now, we are, if you're on the Patreon, we are going to pop out a message to you all as well to encourage this. But those of you who are listening to us for free, which is fine, we are actively asking if you could reach out to us with any questions you specifically got, whether it's about us individually or setting up shop. Obviously, we won't just read them straight live on air. We will vet them first, so be sensible. Or not, either way, we will vet them first. We haven't got a date for this, but we would like all submissions of questions by the end of season 6. So you've got a couple of episodes left, and then we will get those questions out and we will answer them in season 7. So kind of an ask us anything thing. You can reach out to us for that on Instagram. So that's at setting_up_shop, SHOPPE, or you can send them to us individually, but please make it clear that that's what you're asking us for. And you can send us to email info@settingupshop. That's all one word, info@settingupshop.com. That's not any underscores in there. Myself, you can reach out to @tarrants.co.uk, TARRANTS. Rasmus, you can reach @Rasmus Loen, LOEN. And Heidi, you can reach @Whitehall_pottery. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to us. I think it's been an interesting and fun episode. And we will continue our conversation where we will have a live phone call with Rasmus's friend, who is going to find his phone now, in the after show in a few moments' time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right, Raz, where's your phone?
No, it's late.
It is late, but that
It's
doesn't
later in
mean
Norway.
it is later in Norway. That's fine. He's a Viking. It's the weekend. He'll be up, right? He doesn't have kids.
No, he probably doesn't.
There we go. Give it a go.
Leave him a voicemail.
Leave him a voicemail. If he doesn't pick up, leave him a voicemail.
If he has his phone turned on,
Leave
and
him-
it's late. It's
Okay,
his
record
fault.
him a voice note. Record him a voice note on WhatsApp.
I'll send him a message.
Well, okay, we'll do that now. Write it now and tell us what you're writing.
Fine.
This is the guys. If you're not going to ring him, then you've got to tell us what you're writing and do it now. So we're holding you accountable.
All of the peer pressure.
Oh, very much peer pressure and bullying, 100%. Doesn't count if I acknowledge it, right?
No, I guess not. Never mind. But yes, I'm starting gentle and saying like, you've made locks like this before. Yes. How difficult can you teach? That's what I'm going to ask you.
Well, yeah, just that's all you want to know, and say, would it be possible to teach me how? Would it be possible to make small, like jewelry box sized ones? Is that achievable? How long would it take you to teach me? I think that was one of the things we said earlier, wasn't it? Like, because if he's going to say, oh, it would be like several days or weeks, then you've got an idea of it. What do you reckon, Heidi? What else should he say?
I think that's a good start, and then just to start the conversation.
Yeah. When was the last time you spoke to him?
Me?
Well, we've not spoken to him ever. So
yeah,
when was the last time you spoke to
I
him?
was writing. I was only half listening.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked just a couple of weeks ago because he was looking for tools and things.
Excellent. So you could even pay for this with tools.
Potentially. Don't encourage me in that way.
That's what we're trying to do. You will realize your dreams, damn it.
Yes. No, I asked him, like, how many like old locks have you forged? And I've been interested in learning how to do it properly, but not sure entirely where to start.
And how long would it take you to teach me?
Well, I'm leading into that. As I said, it's late. I don't expect him to reply today.
No, he won't reply today, but if you put all the information, he's more likely to respond.
Yeah, I'll get to it. Don't worry about it.
I do worry.
Yeah, you seem to worry enough for the both of us at this point, or be worrying enough for the both of us.
It's late. I'm going into that kind of mode. Okay, well that was anticlimactic. I apologize to everyone for Rasmus taking the easy way out there, but he has at least sent the message.
Yes,
he claims he's told us.
A question with the lock thing. So if the way I was picturing what you were describing with the big lock was that it was something you were going to do in your forge, but I guess this other way would maybe be like cold forging and metal smithing.
Yeah, I don't fully know. Like the most,
because you mentioned that you could do it when it wasn't hot.
Well, yeah. So you need to file and do the fitting, and all that. I still would need to, depending on how complicated we make it. Like I need to forge the bar for it, the actual locking bar. I would need to some extent forge and file the key. There can be a fair bit of soldering in to get the guard on and the blade of the key on. And there's also I need to forge the spring, and that needs to be hardened and tempered. But then you have the nuances in here of like, well, how do you adjust the tension of the spring in a good way? How there's a lot of filing going on to fit everything together, and how do you rivet it and plan through the process of assembly? Like I have seen enough of this on Instagram, and often enough to go like, oh, I still want to do that. And you see like glimpses here and there to go like, oh, I understand this part slightly better now, and I understand this part slightly better. And then you watch another YouTube video, and suddenly the guy is showing how he hardened spring, and go like, ah, that makes sense. That's a good way of
bookmark that.
Yeah, kind of a lot of those kind of things. So
I get the feeling like spring making for me holds this mystique of like, oh, I bet that's really cool, really difficult technique in doing this, that, and everything else. And then when I actually see it done, I'll be like, oh, is that it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense, but how mundane.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Rasmus, what I was thinking about was, do you remember at one point we were talking about your classes and you having people come in to like teach a class?
Yeah.
Like maybe this is something that would benefit you more to say like, hey pal, like I want to offer a class that we maybe take an entire weekend and we build one of these mechanisms, and I would like to pay you by doing a tuition fee for anybody else that wants to come and also learn from you, so that, you know, number one, it builds the community. It also gives him an opportunity to share his craft, but also like you're getting what you need to like,
you you could get paid to do it because you could take like 10% of all of the tuition fees and
Oh yeah, because you're
whatever.
providing the space.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So you could get paid to learn, Rasmus, is what Heidi's managed to work out to do.
That's not a bad shout at all.
Yeah, I was just thinking back to like that
A really good
situation
point,
that you
Heidi. I
had
like that. Yeah.
where you didn't have the rights forge to do that one project that you were doing.
Yeah, to get
Like,
the
to get the
explosives.
heat. Yeah. But like this is like actually, hey, I'm gonna have a guest lecturer come in, and it brings me to there's a potter named John the Potter is his website or his YouTube channel, and he really wanted a soda firing kiln built on his property. So what he did was he pitched it out to the community. There's a big potter community in Michigan. He pitched it out to them, pretty much the tuition for people to come and see how a soda fire kiln is built, paid for the master to come in and build it for him.
Right.
And also knocked off some of the cost of the materials to build the kiln. So like it was a win-win for everybody because people got the knowledge that they were seeking, and the individual had an opportunity to teach, which I think he does pretty regularly. And then John ended up getting the kiln that he's been wanting to do in a way that, you know, made it more successful for him because it was just a weekend and he had all these people to be able to help him build it at the same time that they were learning. So not an idea off the top of my head. It's something I learned from somebody else. So could be an opportunity for you.
Well, there's no such thing as an original idea, is there?
No,
it's just stolen in new and interesting ways. There's a few things like that I've been pondering about that could be fun, and I just need to do it, so to speak, like plan far enough ahead that I can do those things and talk to someone that can come in and advertise for it and just see how it goes.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things like that. Like I need to have a proper chat with him about that. Like, would it be potentially be interesting coming down and do like a demo on like the construction of a lock and point out a few of the crucial bits that's kind of difficult, because like a lot of it is also kind of just drilling holes and filing them square.
Yeah, which he could do pre-prep.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to demo that.
Mm-mm.
But when it comes to like how to do the adjustment and how to assemble and disassemble them, show a variety, because Norway is weird. We have very distinct forging styles in different parts of the country, where like locks were made this way over here and this way over here in this period, like hinges and this style.
Oh God, Rasmus, you could add that to your book.
Yeah, I know.
The whole entire chapter dedicated to the history of locks in Norway.
I mean, and that's one of the things, like, I want to mention the basics of it in the book, which is also why I want to learn it.
Yeah.
Not because it's super crucial, but it used to be a very important part of the craft of like securing things.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, good for you for taking the first step to have the conversation, and good for us for ideating with you, and good for Dan for being a bully.
It's taken me 30 years to get to be a bully. And I used my powers for good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this would be an exciting time, and you know, I hope it will work out. I really like the idea of him getting to run a class or do a demo or all of that kind of stuff, and particularly as, you know, there are certain aspects of it. If you knew, hey, I like this design and this product, and the hard bit is the mechanism inside, but because I'm in my head, I'm assuming there's two plates either side of a frame and all that kind of stuff. Well, loads of that, like, great. Get that water jet cut out so they're a basic format. So the bits we need to make are the mechanism and the hasp, and that's, you know, that's pretty much it. The rest of it then just rivets together type idea. I don't know. But yeah, I think this would be cool. I think this would be cool. I think it's good. And yeah, I mean,
I was also thinking about if you actually wanted a forged lock, I don't think your insurance would allow it. Even if it was...
I'm sorry, insurance?
Yeah, sorry, never mind. Yeah.
It'll be fine. It's all good. Who said it's going to be the primary lock? Doesn't mean, you know, you can have multiple locks. It's all good. What would be more likely to happen, Raz, and more amusing is that it's more likely the lock would get stolen because people want the lock rather than getting into my workshop.
Yeah, might be.
Yeah, so things going ahead and things to reveal. So I have recently made a verbal agreement for renting a workshop space in a couple of months' time, which will be not necessarily bigger than the space I've got, but slightly different layout. So the more important thing is that it's shorter, but it's wider. And which means it's wide enough that I could actually have a central bench location, so I'd have a better use of space.
Nice.
And the hope would be that I would be able to put my machines all out in their locations permanently, so I don't have to keep swapping extractors around or moving this machine to get to that one or whatever. So I can be more efficient. I can do my full Japanese working methodologies and be as efficient as possible, and fit my second lathe in there. Nice. So that I can get that up and running and have 2 lathes, because you can't have too many lathes.
You just need that copy lathe.
Well, that would be lathe number 3, and the problem with the copy lathe is that I can't find a nice little benchtop one. I can find a CNC lathe that is small and benchtop, but I'd have to stand next to it and load it. Yeah, which isn't necessarily a problem. But I would most likely have to sand stuff off that, unless because you work out on tooling and things like that. But so you flip from that to the opposite end of the extreme, where you spend a year's salary on a very large CNC lathe, but it's self-loading, and you can load it up with like 10 or 12 pieces of wood at a time, and it will just sit there and copy out the thing and do that. But you would need to have, I'd need to have a year's salary worth of money available to spend on it, and I need to buy a van before I buy that. But that's a daydreamy goal with many reasons why I can't get it yet. That's definitely a financial hindrance. But the main reason why I couldn't get one of those before, that was a barrier that I firmly put in my way, was because I didn't have 3-phase power. But I have access to that in the new workshop, so that's rather dangerous.
I'm really looking forward to all the shit you will be buying now.
No, I'm not going to be buying things. I'm not. I refuse to be buying all the things. I'm not looking. I'm not. The most of the stuff I've been looking at Facebook Marketplace recently have been anvils and swage blocks and all that kind of stuff for you, young man. Ooh. So we'll have to wait and see. But I need a van.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I should be looking at Facebook Marketplace, is a secondhand van. Even if I know it's going to break after a year, like what's the rental difference for like a 1,500 quid van, as long as it's got its MOT and serviced, and then just drive it around for a year. And if it dies, buy another one. It's still cheaper than renting one, right?
Depends. Could be.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for listening, and we will catch you again another time. Thank you all very much for paying some pennies towards us. We do appreciate it. And we hope that you encourage other people to listen to our podcast, and that you find it helpful and they find it helpful too. Until next time, bye-bye.
Sue.
Bye.